Ready Check Radio.
What's up, Internet? It's Tuesday at 7 p.m. That means it's time for Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast brought to you by ReadyCheckRadio.com. We are just days away from the big event, Blizzcon line, headed in 3 days, and we'll have 48 hours-ish. Well, you know, from start to finish with some breaks in between, right? Doesn't go all night or anything, but it should. Damn it, it should. We'll have plenty of Warcraft news and tons of other Blizzard news, I am sure. We'll speculate a little bit on that today. We kind of locked in our full predictions last week. You can check out that episode over on our YouTube channel, over on ReadyCheckRadio.com. That's RAIDEO.com. Or listen to us on Spotify. Am I fluffier today? He seems fluffy. What the hell does that mean? Is Mike fluffier today? Like my hair? Or am I just me? I don't know what that means. My hair. Yeah, well, yeah. I don't have it, like, just combed straight down and spikied and stuff. Yeah, so it is a little fluffier. And I need a haircut. Anyway, if you're listening on Spotify or watching on the website, come on over to... It's not even a fluffy vest. It's a thin vest. God damn it, chat. That's Indy. She's gone on the damn show. Stop it. Stop it, girl. Stop it. Easy. If you're watching on ReadyCheckRadio.com or listening on Spotify, come on over to twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Catch a live show. We'd love to have you in chat. Unless you're going to talk about my fluffy hair or fluffy vest that isn't fluffy, or I don't know. Somebody that's not fluffy. Mr. Dom Greco. Zista, how are you, sir?
Not even slightly fluffy.
No. Well, and even if you were fluffy, the pink hat would hide the fluffy. But you are the BlizzCon line expert, correctly predicted everything for BlizzCon line. Don't fact check me. Absolutely. I mean, that last part being of vital importance.
Yeah.
For the Also on the line, Angela Mercurio, a.k.a. Don't call me Fluffy Indy. How are you, Indy?
I think I'm way fluffier than
you
guys.
You have a lot of hair, but
not even that. It's like more of like an adjective, like way of life. I think I'm just squishier.
Well, you do play a priest, so you are pretty squishy.
Squishy in game.
I'm a little rough around the edges.
Well, you are a demon hunter. You are a demon hunter. There's a joke about me being a druid in there somewhere. I don't know what it is.
I mean, I have a fluffy pillow right behind me.
So does Indy. She's got like shelves of them back there.
I know, right?
And she's like got a fluffy... Here, I got to go to her camera here. She's got a fluffy cat stand back there. She's got all kinds of fluffy animals.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Twitch
of fluff
logos,
behind
a Hearthstone back there. I got a lot of fluffy.
I think Snowbound is the fluffiest show on this channel.
We are the fluffiest World of Warcraft / Blizzard show around. If you aren't watching, you just ain't fluffy. Let's get started with some of the news, though. Of course, we kind of teased it at the beginning. BlizzCon line this Friday and Saturday. Now, the full schedule is revealed, but I gotta say, the schedule don't really show shit. And I'm gonna ask a question about that, because we all know Blizzard's proclivity for sneaky announcements or things hidden in trailers or in games and things like that. Of course, we have the opening ceremony kicking off at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, February 19th, so in 3 days. That's going to last a little over 2 hours. Then you have your splits, right? It all goes off from there. We've got World of Warcraft talking about what's next. We've got Hearthstone doing a deep dive. Diablo, what's next? We've got the behind the scenes of Overwatch 2. So Zista, a little sneak. That'll probably be our really only sneak peek that we're really expecting for Overwatch 2 right now. maybe get a sense of some maps, some characters, and some of the development stuff that they're doing. On the strategy channel, we'll have StarCraft Legends. I'm sure everybody will be watching that. But then you look through the rest of the schedule through Friday and Saturday, and I'm not going to read the entire schedule. You can check it out at blizzcon.com / schedule. But there really isn't anything that jumps off the page, except maybe.
There's one thing.
Well, okay, go ahead. You go first. See if we're talking about the same thing. Go ahead.
Probably not the same thing because this is a personal friend of mine, and I'm absolutely thrilled that she's going to get her own cooking show at BlizzCon Line. So Lulaboo, at the end of day 2 on Saturday, is going to do a cooking workshop on the World of Warcraft channel. So super happy for her being featured because she's amazing and she cooks the recipes from the World of Warcraft cookbook. So it's going to be really cool.
I forgot about the cookbooks. Kat talked about one of them on the show. Zista, one of our early shows, the most recent cookbook. That's very cool. That is very cool. Well, congrats. Make sure you check out the cooking special. The thing that I find a little bit odd are the rebroadcasts. Not that they would do, it's not odd necessarily that they would do rebroadcasts, but what they're rebroadcasting and on what channels. So when you look at the Blizzard main channel, there is a day 1 rebroadcast of the behind the scenes of Overwatch. Zista, is that legitimately, do you think, just trying to put the Overwatch 2 behind the scenes in the main light of the Blizzard main channel versus its first airing on Friday in the specific Overwatch channel? Or could maybe that potentially be just kind of schedule covering something a little different, or maybe an announcement in the main Blizzard channel?
Yeah, I definitely think it's covering something, because to rebroadcast doesn't make sense for a digital show that is capable of going back to watch anything at any given time. To my knowledge, I believe you can rewind it and go to any panel that's already aired at any time. So rebroadcasting does not make sense to me.
I think it would have made a little more sense to me too if it was in the other order. Like the original broadcast was on the Blizzard channel and then rebroadcast at some other point on the Overwatch channel. That might have made like, hey, let's get our big Overwatch 2 stuff in the main channel, in the main spotlight. And then we don't really have a lot of extra filler for our Overwatch channel where we're kind of lacking an hour and a half. So we'll go ahead and we'll rebroadcast what we had in main on day 1. We'll put it on the Overwatch channel, midway through day 2. It still would have been a little curious to me, but I think it's more curious that it's done this way, where it's going from the Overwatch channel to the main channel.
It's not even just Overwatch, though. If you look just before that, we have Diablo What's Next rebroadcasting. And what's funny about that is it starts rebroadcasting 10 minutes before the original What's Next panel even stops broadcasting.
Yeah, and we were going to get to other broadcasts, too. I was just hitting them kind of Overwatch 2 being the one that I think, a lot of people.
But it's just odd that there's 2 rebroadcasts back to back. That's what I'm saying.
On the main channel.
Yeah.
And then you have neither of these are listed as rebroadcast because the main channel is going to pick up Diablo, the deep dive, later in the day on Friday. When you look at day 2, Indy, we don't see rebroadcasts, which is the weird part for me. One, I would have thought you broadcast important things in the main and then maybe time fill rebroadcast them in the sub channels. But then more to that point too, you would rebroadcast on day 2 if you were just trying to fill time, wouldn't you? I think it's I gotta believe something is hiding in the Diablo and in the Overwatch 2 announcements or in those 2 particular time slots.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that this is strategically done here because they want to keep as much I don't know, even though we're all making our own speculations, just kind of like not reveal it in the schedule.
Here's some leaks the internet is speculating, and I want you both to give me a yay or nay. Some of these we have done already, so they'll be very quick. Like World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade Classic, we all last show, thumbs up, said that definitely is getting some love, and probably a release date at this BlizzCon. Diablo 2 Resurrected, we all gave thumbs up here. Hearthstone expansion, they teased it today, so I gotta believe that announcement is coming. It looks very horde-oriented. There's some references to the Barons in it. We covered it over on mmobomb.com. Plug. So I gotta believe that expansion announcement is coming, and it might be a week or two earlier than normal, but it does fit like their every 3-month cycles.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not even doubting it in the slightest because we just got the Dark Moon Fair Racers mini patch, like the halfway patch or whatever. So that would line up. That would line up exactly. I don't expect it to drop at BlizzCon, but
Diablo Immortal release date. Indy, I think we're all on board that'll probably be announced, right?
Yeah, but that's not one I'm super excited about.
I
So
know.
you guys know how I feel about that one.
How about mobile announcements? Possibly a Warcraft pet battle game.
Still registering. I want that. I want it.
I know you do.
Give it to me.
New Heroes maps, lore sneak peek for Overwatch 2. That's we kind of expected that. A new class and an area reveal for Diablo 4. So these are like the main leaks right now. At least some on Twitter advertising them as leaks. But I don't think there's anything surprising to any of us in any of those leaks.
They're not even leaks. They're more of like patterns.
Yeah.
They're just showcasing patterns that we already know exist. It's like, yeah, we're missing a bunch of heroes. So yeah, we're going to get one to announce. A leak would be the Necromancer, being announced, something like, and all details and fake spells or what, like a fake leak, whatever. But like that, those are predictions. Those are predicting patterns. That's it.
Targoth saying this seems like a weak BlizzCon, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it looks weak headed into it, Indy. I don't think afterwards we're going to look back and say it was a weak one. I think we're going to get some substantive Diablo 4 news. I'm in the air on whether how substantive Overwatch 2 may be right now, but I'd like to think, you don't have big announcements for Warcraft. Yeah, you're going to talk about 9.1, of course, but you don't have an expansion announcement. You don't have huge announcements there. You don't do a 2-day event if you don't have big announcements elsewhere in your portfolio. They definitely have Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 stuff to discuss. They've got a lot of mobile stuff they want to talk about, even if that's not big splash announcements. But I do think, I just have this feeling, knowing Blizzard and the way they operate, having friends that work there. By the way, I don't have inside knowledge on any of this. Nobody is spilling the beans. I just have a feeling there's an announcement waiting in here that we may not see coming, whether it's an IP that we're going to get some more information than we thought we would, or an unknown IP, maybe something in the vein of Fenway being something surprising. I just have a feeling next week's show, while we may not be super excited about BlizzCon right now, besides just general excitement, I think next week there's going to be something pretty big to talk about.
I think there will be surprises and multiple. I think there's definitely not. People are looking at the schedule, and it's significantly different this year because we're trying to navigate a con through a pandemic. So I think Blizzard is absolutely doing everything they can to still provide us with something entertaining. Obviously, it's a disappointment because there's not a physical con going on, but this is this is more than one would expect for given the situation of this year. So I definitely think there's more surprises around the corner. I think we might find out some things about World of Warcraft that maybe people aren't really thinking about. Everybody's fixating on, obviously, Burning Crusade, which is pretty exciting because that was a great expansion, and I will definitely go back and play through that if that is a thing. But what about our current World of Warcraft, and what might they have to release to us now for the current expansion? Maybe there's some things we don't know about there.
Yeah, I have to believe they wouldn't make it a 2-day event if they didn't at least feel like what they had to offer was worth 2 days. That nobody would have given them a ton of shit if this was a 1-day online event.
Yeah,
but had a bunch of announcements in it. where people are going to give them shit if it's a 2-day event that feels empty. And I got to believe somebody behind the scenes knows that's exactly what'll happen if they don't play it right.
And as much as I don't really care to, like, when I go to BlizzCon, I don't watch any of like the community stuff, like the talent shows or the costume events. Like, as cool as that stuff is, and don't get me wrong, I don't dislike any of that stuff. I usually wait and rewatch that stuff when I get home. There's just too much going on when I'm actually there. I appreciate the fact that they've taken the time in a pandemic to make it work and fit like pandemic guidelines and stuff like that. I think that's really cool of them.
Obviously, it'll be a big show next week. In fact, we're not going to do lore or lies tonight. I mean, we'll give you the answer to last week's, and we do have something we want you to talk about in the comments, whether it's on Ready Check Radio or on our YouTube channel. But we're not going to do that segment tonight. Our lore master is celebrating her anniversary this week with her priest partner, Scream Twice. So congratulations to those two lovebirds. But we don't want to leave you hanging with the answer. So we will give you the answer, and then we'll probably need to reclaim, some of that time next week with a longer show from BlizzCon wrapping up on next week's show. So we no lore lies this week or next week, but stay tuned for the answer to last week.
I do have one question for you guys about Burning Crusade Classic.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's going to be forced server progression? All the classic servers are going to jump into Burning Crusade, or is this going to be a separate entity that you may have to copy a character over to or level a character from scratch?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a forced. I think it's just going to be tacked onto the classic as we know it now and continue your character.
What about all the people that really just wanted a classic server and now they're forced into it and they're going to be upset?
Well, no, I think what you end up doing is what a number of other games do, like EverQuest, where every X whatever time frame they want to set it up on, a new server is spun up, and then those are timed progression servers on if there's multiple expansions. So once Crusade is lifted or added, then you can spin up another classic server at some point and say, hey, 6 months from now, classic will come to that server. So it gives everybody this. At least that's what other games like EverQuest and EQ2 have done. I don't know how successful that would be. I'd have to think about this a little more rather than off the top of my head. It's an interesting question when you talk about World of Warcraft, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If people are playing classic, they obviously are playing it for that experience, right? And if we start tacking on expansions, then you're going to have people flying through cities when in classic you couldn't do that. It makes sense that you'd want to keep it separate.
I'm just comparing it to other bigger games. Obviously, nothing as big as World of Warcraft in the past has had classic servers, but when you look at EQ and EQ2, they cycle through progression servers that get the expansions added after periods of time. I don't know how well that holds up in the World of Warcraft universe, because the people that wanted Classic weren't necessarily wanting Classic for the content. Yes, the content was a piece of it, but some of the systems and the experiences were more what they were looking for. So to your point, Indy, adding Burning Crusade changes some of those systems. While it adds the content, great, that might not have necessarily been the draw to go to Classic to begin with. So maybe you do a second one. I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think?
I think it's going to be an optional. You can move the character over if you want to. Maybe even the option of like how we have on the PTR, where you can copy your character from live to PTR and do it that way. So you can have a character that exists in both. Or maybe it's a one-way transfer.
I don't know. I think it gets
forth,
exceedingly expensive for no real revenue return, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because you keep spinning up different variants of servers at that point. You have your classic with BC that you can swap characters between the two if you want to, or at least one way, right, from classic to classic with BC. Then what happens down the road if you do decide to put in Wrath of Lich King, whether that's soon or after the next retail expansion comes out, whatever you decide to do there. there is no monetary gain on this. It's not a separate sub. It is not a separate fee. It is not a $2 per character type thing for existing subs. How many of these do you keep spinning up without making extra revenue on it? I think becomes the question.
I
My
think just
slight
classic should be
concern-
classic.
Yeah.
All the other expansions can tack on to that, but classic should be classic.
My slight concern is things like the mount, the Karaji war mount, that you got there, all those people that got it, that one server that got like 50 of them or 70 of them, whatever.
Right.
Now, Burning Crusade made those things account wide. Does that mean that's going to link it with live servers, or is that going to stay classic servers to add those all to your spell book and stuff like that? I'm hoping that remains with classic servers, because that's how it was broadcast and advertised originally. That stuff would not work on live and vice versa. I'm hoping that remains intact, because then I'm going to be a little upset that I didn't go for a bug mount myself.
Yeah, I agree. That would piss off a lot of people if they started mixing the content that you can acquire between classic and live, because me being a priest that rated in vanilla, I don't want to see all these priests going back and getting their tier 0.5 benediction, all that stuff, and then taking it over to live. It's like a badge of honor right now to have one of those.
It's definitely interesting, and I'm sure that they're going to let us know on Friday into Saturday what the plan is for that. But I'm going to be interested the way they decide to do this, particularly because besides reclaiming a lapsed sub, Classic doesn't have a revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
Besides enticing somebody to come back that has not had a sub in X years with, I'm going to go play Classic, I don't care about Shadowlands, there is no independent revenue stream. So I don't think they're going to get too nuts with it, but you run the risk of pissing a lot of people off if you do it one way or the other. We'll see. It's definitely an interesting question.
There's no game shop transactions for Classic?
No.
I actually don't know. I don't know. I meant more of a consistent revenue stream. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was in the vein of a sub or a plus $2 for Indy to have a Classic character on her $15 monthly sub, whatever. I don't think there's a store for Classic. That doesn't mean they wouldn't implement it at some point, but I don't think there is right now. Goblin in chat saying no, not yet.
I mean, they could implement it for Burning Crusade and beyond.
Maybe.
And that way people can boost themselves and,
maybe
buy stuff.
Maybe. All right. Enough about that. We'll have a lot of BlizzCon stuff going through the week. And we'll see you next Tuesday with a huge BlizzCon review show. Let's talk about what's in the retail version now of Shadowlands, because some changes. We talked a few weeks ago about Valor coming back, Valor points coming back to upgrade Mythics. But not long after saying, hey, I'm pretty sure that raid gear is totally fine, says Ian Hazakostas, Blizzard decides, maybe it ain't fine. Maybe it ain't fine. Maybe it ain't fine. Now, they're still dealing with the static loot tables, which, by the way, this has been an ongoing thing for years in expansions, and I'm amazed it hasn't changed yet, but it is what it is. Raid loot drop rates have been tuned effective today's patch, and at that time, I take it for what it is. When Kyvex posted this, it was Kyvex's 666th post. Yeah, 666s.
It's true.
So with the maintenance today, there was a adjustment made to Castle Nathria and raid drops. Only raid drops. Bosses now drop 33% more loot than before. That means instead of 3 pieces, they drop 4. And weapon tokens now drop more often than before in all difficulties. No percentages or anything like that given. 10-player raids should now see 2 gear items, and 20-player raids should see 4 gear items from each boss. These adjustments will not affect other loot that drops in Castle Nathria, such as legendary memories or conduits, nor will there be any impact to drops from raid encounters outside of Castle Nathria. So this is not raids. This is Castle Nathria. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your feedback. Generally good news across the board. Zista, still some questions on, for years we did 5. Why are we still doing 3? Why are we still doing 4? And dear God, yes, this is nice, but honestly, it's the Mythic Pluses that probably feel worse than the raids right now. I don't think anybody's going to complain at more chances at loot. And I don't think too many people were complaining about it to begin with in Castle, besides like the passing, shit, I didn't get anything. Shit, I didn't get anything.
Oh, I got Anima again.
Yeah, it's more about the Mythic Pluses. And if you want to take that a step further, at least for me, doing heroic rating, doing, generally 8s and 9s in Mythics don't give me any problems at this point. 10s, Zista, I feel like we could time now, but they'd be challenging. And stuff like that. But I feel like I don't have any control over my character's gearing path.
Yeah.
And that's the part that really bugs me, I think.
It's funny, too, because I was under the assumption, and we've said it on the show a few times, that if you really want to focus in on a piece of loot, that you run a particular dungeon and you'll get it in your weekly cash. Well, that is not true. Because I specifically only ran one dungeon a couple weeks ago. I forgot to mention it last week. Ran one dungeon and I got a drop, and it was not the other side, and I got a drop from the other side in there. So it is not based on what you are running. So we have even less control over the loot than we originally thought we had.
More loot and raid is certainly a good thing, though, Indy. I mean, you can't complain about that, even though I still feel like there's a lot in the process to complain about.
There is. I mean, it's been at least 3 weeks since I've gotten a piece of loot that I would consider an upgrade. So I'm kind of like, me, the person who's like, oh, let's keep loot hard to get. And I'm starting to get weary with what's going on with loot. So,
Me, on the other hand, I've gotten at least one upgrade every week. Like at least something.
I forget
so
what
happy for you.
I forget what my druid's at. It's
happy.
like 206 or 207, something like that. My weapon is still fucking 187.
Yeah.
My weapon is still sitting at 187. And that's with getting 220 drops in my vault.
Yeah, I have a 196 offhand, I think, or a 194, but yeah.
You're probably going to be fine with weapons now because of the fact that the tokens drop more often.
I hope so.
So a friend
we'll find
of mine
out Friday and Saturday.
Said,
Stay tuned to Friday night stream.
Yeah. A friend of mine actually said your vaults, like, avoid weapons in your vault because it's going to be so much easier to get them in raid now.
Yep.
I actually finally got a helmet today out of the cache or whatever. The last one I had was from the original Time Walking Old War. So I was like, finally upgraded that at least.
We'll see. I mean, we will be raiding Heroic Nathria Friday and Saturday. Friday we'll stream it. So if you want to watch us, I did not partake this past week, but we are at Sire Denathrius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that is where we're at, 9 of 10. Although personally, 7 out of 10 because I wasn't there for Sludge Fist and Stone Generals. I was at Disney the past week, so which was a great time for my birthday. Zista, you lucked out, man. You got the Time Walking event this week, my friend. It's all you, Mists of Pandaria. How excited were you?
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I was hoping maybe get a raid, but no, we just.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, am I just dumb? Did I miss it? I didn't see any raid in this.
No,
it's a bummer.
Yeah, I love all of these dungeons though. So like getting any of them, I'm not upset. So. I think Gate of the Setting Sun, I think, is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Indy is flabbergasted by your favorite.
I'm not a huge fan of Mop, but it, right now I'm trying to gear up my Alliance Priest. So it's a good opportunity for me to get a piece of 200 gear for somebody that's, I think she's eye level 135. She's just a baby.
Mop was pretty much where I only played the expansions to keep a character at max level and through the entire story. I really didn't raid from Mop on. I was kind of done. Mop didn't do it for me. Just didn't do it for me. I didn't have anything against, Kung Fu Pandas or anything. I wasn't one of those guys. I just generally I think the rep grind, hidden behind a rep grind, is where I was like, yeah, I'm just not interested anymore. And then in subsequent expansions, I was like, oh, garrisons, sweet. No, I'm max level. I'm out. Not doing this. Shadowlands, man, bringing it back for me. Really bringing it back. Having a lot of fun with doing heroic here, and hopefully mythic castle in the near future here. And on that front, we do have more news about 9.05, including an update to something we were wondering on last week's show with the
It's
new.
almost as if they're watching and addressing every concern we have.
Oh, right? We wondered if the implementation of Valor points was going to cause Indy to have to go through and reassemble everything she has disassembled for the last X weeks from her Mythic Plus runs. That will not be the case.
Right.
From the forums, hello, please note you will not be able to upgrade items that dropped before patch 9.05. While we have technical reasons for this, we also want to avoid the feeling that you should go through months of item history and stuff your bags and your bank in preparation for this. In-game items that can be upgraded will be clearly labeled as such. And although, like, I can appreciate what's being said there, Indy, like, once you said we have technical reasons for this, the rest of the sentence sounds like, we're trying to PR paintbrush this so that it doesn't. It's like, we do have technical reasons for this, but really we were concerned about you. Kind of like Ian Hazakost is talking about loot is a static table, and there's challenges with making changes. And
it just seems like a lot of the upgrades and stuff are not really worth it for like where we're at right now. But the system seems like it's a long-term Band-Aid fix for future raid tiers as opposed to the current one we're in.
Yeah.
I definitely get the feeling that this is a less than ideal solution on their side. Like, I get the feeling they know they need to fix it, but I almost get the feeling they're not quite sure how to fix it. Because some things in the past have gone horribly awry when trying to fix this. And I don't know. Like, this is the type of grind that I think does turn a good portion of your player base off when you have to invest this much time into singular pieces of gear. That's definitely a plus for a certain subset of your audience, but not the general audience of the game.
They could fix Mythic Plus drops. I mean, there, boom, done.
Yeah. But where do we go from here? Do we get reforging back at some point?
Yes, please. Oh my God, that would solve all of my problems.
But it would add a whole other layer of other problems. So.
I know, but I don't care about those problems. I care about my problems.
And I mean, that was like the number one thing that was constantly said in the post about the raid drops being increased. It was like, great, fantastic, but that's not the problem. It's Mythic Plus, and this new Valor points thing isn't the solution. This isn't what we should be doing. By the way, world bosses still don't do anything now because this is only Castle Nathria raids, and everybody's like, yeah, I feel like that's a great change, fantastic, but it doesn't address the problem, and I don't think Valor necessarily does either. Valor is not a system that I am terribly excited to jump back into because I still don't have control over, okay, let me go get the staff that I want my bear to have, then I can go after the grinding of the Valor to increase that because now I have the staff I have, Zista. And yeah, it was 193 when I picked it up. But I wanted that staff, and I'm going to work it all the way up to 220 through the Valor system. I don't have the capability to do that.
I'm just going to say I don't like the whole Valor system in general. It just seems like it's something else to farm. This could have been something that could have been fixed with professions, something that have been lacking for a really long time in terms of being able to do stuff like this and help people upgrade their gear. Like this would have been the perfect system to do that.
Indeed. Do you want bonus rolls back?
Yes. That'd be nice because then we could be like, this boss drops my best in slot, whatever. I want to take my chance here.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
What else? And again, these are all in testing on the PTR for 9.05, estimated to come out next month, so we don't have an official date yet, but we're seeing more and more things revealed from it, including, and maybe this could help head in a gearing direction, a little gearing help to Zista, your point of professions maybe playing a part in this. We're seeing what might be the beginning of Stygia crafting in the Maw. So if you take a look, we've got a screenshot here. Up on top of this tower, there's a rare mob that you have to do kill a couple other rares to go be able to fight it. But up above that, while you can kind of get up there with creative toy and glider usage, in the PTR for 9.05, there's now more grapple hooks to get higher up that tower. And eventually, they lead you to this kind of forge area. And there's a little Stygia crafting table there. Right now, you can only craft the Stygia bar and the husk, the runed husk. We don't know what Soul Forger's tools, how to get them, but they're part of recipes. Don't know. Could we see this part of gear, or is this going to be more like crafting of mounts and cosmetic type stuff? Where do you see this going, Zista?
Well, we also were just introduced to the fact that Vanari, the slots that you can socket and stuff with his reputation, they're only going to be limited to Season 1 gear, Castle Nathria, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Well, let me just delete that from the notes. We already mentioned it. Done.
Perfect. I feel like this could be a way to upgrade next time around through crafting. So I think that's the perfect thing to fix your gear and upgrade, put sockets and stuff on in the future is with some kind of Stygia crafting where you may need to farm these things, craft them, and then turn them into sockets or something later. So they could make them different every patch, and make different requirements, increase the amounts of Stygia needed every time, and tailor that around so you don't have like a stockpile of the materials to do it.
How you sitting with Stygia there, Indy?
Well, I just dropped 9,000 on one of the socket things because I finally got exalted with Vanari, and then somebody told me about this today. You know what? It's fine.
Slash cry. It's fine.
I didn't like riding around with all that Stygia anyway, because if you die and you're in the wrong spot, just kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have felt far worse if I lost all of it. So yeah, I did socket one of my 220 rings with 9,000 Stygia, but this here looks like, I'm hoping it kind of goes along the lines of item enhancement items and not actual items, because I don't want to be forced into grinding Stygia. The Maw is a terrible, terrible place.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That was like the first thing that I thought about. I was like, look, I'm already grinding Rep. I'm already grinding Renown. I'm already grinding Anima. I'm going to have to grind Valor. If you fucking force me into grinding Stygia, I might set my computer desk on fire.
Great way to stay in shape.
I still don't have a single wing of Torghast open all the way to layer 8. Like, don't make me go there. I still have the quest for the Trail Growing Cold to go investigate what's going on with Thrall. Like, it is still in my quest log. I cannot bear Torghast. I just can't do it.
See,
is it because you are a bear?
What's that?
I said, is it because you are a bear?
I'm just going to start doing a solo show from now on. What else we got? Oh, we're getting... Now, this is in part data mining, but could get some new soul shapes coming, including corgis for the Night Face soul shaping. And some cats. I mean, that's possible, too. Now, these could also just be NPCs that are in a soul-shaped form like we see in the game today. But, yeah, we've got corgis, we've got squirrels, we've got cats, we've got frogs. All of a sudden, I don't know if I want to be Venthyr anymore.
Why?
But yeah, I think I'll just stick with it. They're cute. They're cute.
What is it saying for Venthyr?
What's that?
What are we getting for Venthyr?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing.
So
Yeah.
basically just Fae.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are Night Fae soul shape items. Yeah. Feels bad, doesn't it?
I think the game favors the Fae.
Well, I mean, we did have to get our adventurers buffed to hell and back just to be on par with everybody else. We don't get this stuff. I mean, they look cool.
I mean, they also showed off what, like hippos and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
who
and
doesn't want to be a
elephants,
hippo?
and I mean, just all kinds of shit. All kinds.
I mean,
of
there
shit.
are spiders.
I'm
I would
gonna
be a
skip
spider.
one more since we're on the topic of covenants and renown and stuff like that. We'll come back to that last one. Let's talk about possible rare drops hidden behind not only your covenant, which we were told about before the expansion dropped, that there could be things like mounts that were covenant specific. So automatically locking your ass out of 75% of the available items because you could only choose one covenant unless you were going to roll multiple characters, level them all through. But now's this that we're seeing, and this is a maybe. This is a maybe. We don't quite have confirmation on this yet, but it's looking like not only are mounts locked to covenants, but also behind specific renown levels.
Yeah, because we had a rare drop that was found. The Bloodhoof Tyralis was a spawn off the rare Tahanto in Maldraxxus, or Tahanta. And people have been farming this over and over and over and over and over, and no one's gotten the thing to drop. And it wasn't until one particular player, Xanon, on the EU server Kazakh, once he reached Renown 32, he got the drop. So,
which was only obtainable previous to this in, I guess, beta, right? Was the last time you could have renown levels high enough to trigger these drops. Now, we don't have confirmation of this yet, but since we do kind of have an idea that maybe, Indy, this does not only being Necrolord specific, which that part, again, we knew about, right? That was announced before the expansion even dropped, that there were going to be Covenant specific stuff. But now, renown level requirements that are not published or made available to, so that, hey, I don't waste my time farming this until I get to this renown level. How do you feel about that potentially being the case here, or with some other things that just haven't dropped yet?
I think they need to work a little bit less on making things unobtainable. And coming from me, this is like a thing. I mean, I like things to be hard to obtain, but I think right now we have such a situation with everything being so hard to obtain loot wise. Like, why this? Why now? Like, why? What purpose does it serve, really?
I mean, and somebody on this post, by the way, courtesy of Wowhead here, really takes it. This is Nell Ravencrest, really breaks it down. There's really only two options here, right? In what happened. It was added to the loot table in a hotfix that happened to go out on that day, or it's actually Renown 32 that unlocks the drop.
Right.
I got to believe, though, if it was the first one, that would have been addressed already. That in a post, in a patch notes, in a, some type of in one of the hotfix lists posts, hey, fixed an issue with Tahanta's loot table.
Possibly, because if they put that in the patch notes, then they're going to get in a lot of uproar of people that are like, but I wasted all this time farming this on 30 something alts every single day. Like, you already saw that in the comments here. People are already upset that they're like, I just farmed this thing 5 times today on all my characters. Before I hit Renown 32, I was only Renown 31. Like, this information needs to be disclosed.
Right, tough.
So
and that
think
sucks.
people would be
and
upset.
People would be upset, and that sucks. But as a software engineer and a designer, tough shit. I've got to put out there what was in the hotfix. There was an issue with the loot table. We didn't realize it. We fixed it. Sorry if you spend time farming. Yeah, that does suck for you, the player. There's not really much we could do about it, but it's fixed going forward. Nobody's going to have that issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And if you look at their hot fixes, they do things like that. And they could have left it vague, by the way. They could have just said, address an issue with Tahanta's loot table.
Yeah.
People would have knew what that meant.
They would have
especially when
known.
Mount started
Absolutely.
going, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
On the other side, it's not like they escaped that discussion or people being pissed off by not saying, hey, you need to have levels of renown to get certain things. I think that's the more important part here. I don't like this. I don't like this generally as a game concept to begin with. This feels like now it's just a rep grind again. And it is anyway, and we all know that. It's just disguised a little differently than rep grinds have been in the past in World of Warcraft. Renown is just another rep grind, right? But it's not like we subbed rep grinds for this renown grind. We just added it to it. And I hate the feeling of I got to get renown to 32 because there's that mount that I want, just as much as I hated I got to get to exalted because there's the cape of magicness that I want to get. Like,
or when Mike Byrne private messages me yesterday and is like, I'm trying to grind out my anima today because I don't want to fall behind this week and be behind everybody else in renown.
And I got it done, and it's only stomachable to me because it's like 2 quests. It's like, go do 2 quests, you're fine. That's fine. So I do not like this if this is the case. And on top of that, I especially don't like that there is not a table I can go to, Indy, that shows me if I want this mount, I need to be Necrolord and I need Renown 32 before I even waste time killing that target.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all the wasted time. I'm looking at all the comments. There's a lot of people pissed off saying, you know what, if this is a hidden requirement thing, like, why wouldn't you? It's never been communicated. So people have been trying on X number of alts for X number of days without any confirmation as to whether or not they were just wasting their time or if the mount had a chance to drop.
Yeah, I also I don't know how I feel about the whole idea of them being tied to renown at all. I don't like it, but it's. I almost feel like if it's going to be a perk of your covenant, which we knew that going into this in advance, if there's going to be oddball perks to your covenant, whether that be pets or mounts, toys, or whatever the case may be, I feel like they should come from the covenant, not from some random ass drop in a zone that has nothing to do with my Venthyr at some arbitrary renown levels. That just seems really freaking bizarre to me.
There should be a list in game somewhere, even if it's just like an NPC you talk to or a vendor that you can't actually buy the stuff off of, but like before you select your covenant, be like, here's all the different things that you can get somewhere along the way in your covenant and how to obtain them. Just slap it in Oribos with all the other faction, the covenant leaders, and just so you have a list and it's kind of like a little personal checklist so you know what's required and whatnot. But like something like that would go a long way than trying to hide all this stuff. Like I do enjoy when they hide stuff because like all the secret finding Discord but that's a whole different level. That's accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like
and Covenants already limits your character. You know, there is 100% of content that your character can only participate in 25% of it.
Yeah.
Just by the simple choice of making a covenant choice, which by the way is mandatory. So it's not even, something you can opt out of. So yeah. I don't know. I still am not entirely sold on covenants as a whole to begin with. I
like them.
I had reservations going into the expansion. That's not to say that I haven't enjoyed my experience with Venthyr. I absolutely love some of the things that are in that storyline so far, and in the environments and all that. But there is a part of me that's like, well, I would like to go check these other ones out now that I have a little more time between what I'm normally doing in the game, right? Because I'm not leveling anymore. I'm not doing Venthyr campaign anymore. Those things that filled the time for the first couple of weeks, Indy, are gone. And in other expansions, I might go and start exploring some of that stuff that I just didn't do right off the bat because I didn't care right away. Now it might be nice to go look at Bastion's covenants and things like that. Not saying I would go to Bastion.
With the same character?
No.
See,
I don't want to level an entire another character. her to.
Do you remember
do
back with the Frenzy Heart and the Oracles?
Yeah.
And Aldor and Scryer,
Yeah,
like if
yeah.
you wanted to switch, granted there was only 2, and it was a lot easier to
Yeah.
stomach the idea of only having one coven or one faction hate you. But you could kind of, if you really wanted that kind of grind, you could switch.
Yep.
Now with all these covenants, like I'm never switching. I don't
No.
even care. Somebody told me the upcoming patch would make my priest want to finally go Night Fae, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I don't care if it's the most amazing combination of abilities in the world. I'm not going Fae with this priest because I enjoy being Venthyr.
Yep.
So if I explore other covenants, it's gonna be on an alt, I think, because I think
Well,
it's
some
just
of us
too
don't
painful.
have 40 of them, Indy.
I don't, but I don't.
I don't even have one.
I have 2 that are at 50 and ready to go, so I could do it, but yeah whatever.
I have my old rogue, and I have
This is-
another demon hunter.
This
that's
is
Alliance
definitely a
on
bad
50.
standard, a bad precedent to set if this ends up
Yeah,
being the
I agree.
case. And I don't see any way that isn't the case at this point, that it was locked behind Renown 32.
I think if it was a hot fix, somebody's alt somewhere along the way isn't at 32 right now would have reported that they got them out, and I'm not seeing any of that anywhere.
Yeah, or
So-
Blizz, who does, there are people at Blizz that are scouring Wowhead all the time, would have seen this post and addressed it by now. This is
Mhm.
not something that was posted this morning and just hasn't received a reply yet.
Yep.
But you are getting more mailboxes in Oribos in 905, so there you go.
I mean, that's always good.
Zista's still not getting his signs to show him which portals to use, Indy.
I get lost in Oribos. It doesn't really matter how many mailboxes there are. I'm just gonna keep running in circles.
Like now that we got more mailboxes, like that's good. But when we teleport down below, can we get some more flight masters? That's all I'm asking.
Oh
for.
my god, yes.
please.
Can we just put like
Please.
one?
Or just put us in front of him every single time. That's
Yeah.
all I want. Like
Yeah.
Wasn't this a complaint that you had like
yeah,
Like-
and I'm still having it.
Yep.
Yeah,
long time ago?
but I'm saying like the
Well,
mailboxes.
that's the
was
whole
our other
teleport
complaint.
thing. That's the whole teleport thing that I give him shit about because he always takes the one that ends up furthest away from the flight master.
Exactly.
So just learn which one to take.
Yeah.
Well,
If there were
yeah.
signs, he would know. But no,
Yeah.
no signs, just more mailboxes.
Yep. 'Cause I kind of have like a judge of, the one mailbox is here, so if I take this portal, I'll be closer. Now there's going to be mailboxes everywhere. I'm not going to know which way is up anymore.
Let's finish up with some other Blizzard news. Hearthstone is introducing the core set. So if you liked Hearthstone, not right after it launched, but shortly after it launched, you'll be able to jump in for free to a 235 classic and basic core set that replaces the classic and basic cards for standard format. And you'll get all those free for every player. And you can play in your old school, I guess. Hearthstone makes me feel really old saying old school Hearthstone. So Hearthstone Classic, Indy.
This is for me.
Yes, Hearthstone Classic, all for you, all for
This is-
you.
I complain all the time about not liking new Hearthstone. Is this gonna bring me back? I think so.
Well, it's funny because when Hearthstone originally came out, me and Indy were doing another podcast like way back then. That
Oh,
was
God.
2014, and we were in the beta and stuff. We got, I believe, for that. That was what, 7 years ago?
Yeah, we used to play Hearthstone. Was that the podcast that we did that had
Yeah,
Warcraft
Hardcore
stuff?
Casuals. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
that was forever ago.
Yep. With all the trogs.
Yep, you will
Mhm.
be able to make decks using all the cards as they were in 2014.
Yay.
Yeah, they'll have the original art and all that stuff too. So
Yeah, but I like the fact that the core set, the legendary set, because like I just recently got our good friend Kiggles, which most of us all know and love. Love is a strong word. But he's been asking me about getting into standard and stuff because I got him addicted to the battlegrounds because it's free and all that stuff. And I taught him how to play the entire game in like 4 days, and he's still yelling at me to this day for getting addicted to it. And that was like 2 weeks ago now at this point. But he's been asking me about standard. I said, hey, just wait till after BlizzCon, wait for some announcements. This is probably the best announcement for him right here is showing him what to get before he goes and blows a lot of his Blizzard. He converted all his WoW tokens into Blizzard bucks. And I'm like, just wait before you pump them all into Hearthstone. Just wait and see what's coming. So this should save him a bit of his Blizzard bucks doing that.
A couple things you should note on this one from the FAQ. We don't have a release date for it, but they are saying it will go live in the patch for the next expansion. So hang tight for BlizzCon, which we think we're going to get the Hearthstone expansion announcement. And if we get a date, then you'll have core set there as well. Now, they are going to reveal the entire core set a few days after BlizzCon line, and they'll be available so that you can do some early deck building in your card library, but you won't be able to play anything yet. And the core set is not going to be playable in Standard, which makes sense, but you will be able to use it in Wild. So there you go. And it doesn't cost anything.
Yay.
Which is, I mean, Hearthstone fans probably think that's pretty amazing at this point.
Yeah.
I had some really good priest decks I'm going to recreate now.
Grandmasters is also being changed up a little bit. I mean, this isn't huge, like, let's get opinions news on it, but dual tournaments being put in there for 7 weeks before a Week 8 playoff now. So you'll have, like, a whole schedule of games to watch of dual challenges back and forth.
So yeah, I've never been really big in constructed Hearthstone. Like, I'm really enjoying the battlegrounds, and I'm very excited to see at BlizzCon they actually have a battlegrounds exhibition, like, all scheduled out and stuff. I'm really excited for that one. That one's going to be a lot of fun.
Indy, we talked about Blizzard's financials a few weeks ago and some of the initial stuff. In further review, there was one thing I did want to bring up here, that Bobby Kotick is looking at the way Warzone has kind of revitalized Call of Duty revenue-wise. And we did talk about that, how it was like doubled its normal annual revenues. And they pinned a lot of that on the model of making Warzone free, but everybody's still playing in the same launcher/server, whatever, to entice additional purchases, to get you to play Warzone for free and then maybe end up buying the retail game. And they have said now that they are expressly looking at doing that with all of their IPs. And I don't think that's really surprising. We already knew about the Warcraft mobile games. We talked about that on last week's show. We've got Diablo Immortal coming up. But now this is a specific targeted plan for them to take all of their major IPs, Overwatch, Warcraft, and Diablo in particular, and literally treat it like heroin, right? Give you the first taste for free and then suck you in for the money, which just feels so Activision right now.
It does, but at the same time, because I am such a Blizzard fangirl and I never want these games to die. We need to keep this this whole thing alive. And I think, honestly, I'm not a huge mobile player. I'm not a huge microtransaction player, but whatever brings somebody around, and there's new people joining World of Warcraft all the time, and I think it's amazing. People who never got to experience it years and years ago. So yeah, keep it coming.
Zista, I see you scratching your chin. You're thinking.
I was just like, are we really comparing Activision to heroin dealers? But
no, not the heroin dealers themselves.
Just give them a little taste.
The process
the first
of selling said item. No.
Yeah.
You give the first taste for free, and then you make them come back.
Yeah. But the WoW Pet Battle mobile, like, this is just asking more. I want this. I want this even more. But I'm curious more than anything what they're gonna do with Overwatch to make a mobile companion game to connect over, because Overwatch, I believe, I was just talking to one of my buddies about this that we play Overwatch with, and Overwatch is probably the most reasonable of all of the Blizzard games to play, because they've never forced you to do anything. There's no expansions, like, all this stuff. All the heroes come out for free. They don't really have a crazy battle pass system that you have to buy. I'm not suggesting you do that, Blizzard, but now that I said that, it's going to happen. But, like, Hearthstone just added theirs. Overwatch has never had any kind of pay models. You bought the game once when it first came out, and you just play it free till now. Like, yeah, you could buy loot boxes, but I don't know anybody who's actually done that.
I'm having the hardest time in the world hearing you call Overwatch reasonable with just the absolute
With their pay models.
loot box abuse that company, that particular game has
Who
just
actually
been
buys the
involved
loot
in.
boxes, though?
Oh my
Who buys
God.
them?
Who?
Not me, but there's people who buy
Yeah.
them in like mass
I have
quantities.
every single item in the game, and I'm sitting on 120,000 currency in the game on top of it, and I've never bought a loot box.
Well, some of us have a life to live.
Fair enough.
And some of us can talk in chat. Anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of Overwatch, players a little bit miffed. I always like looking at the experimental server. I know it's not news, but fuck it. I don't always cover news. I like just talking about things sometimes. Orisa is a bit of a pain in the ass right now, particularly in some buffs that not only make Fortify ridiculous, but also kind of just discourage headshots in general, which I'm not really sure why you do that in your shooter game. You train people to not aim for the headshots. I don't know. People are a little bit miffed on this one, Zista.
Yeah. I mean, I did get a chance to go in there and try it. I think it works for her because she's a really tall hero to begin with, and she pretty much already towers over the shield that she puts down, so her head's kind of peeking out all the time. So having an ability that kind of reduces her headshot damage seems okay. Definitely overtuned or whatever here. Maybe it should go on a separate cooldown, separate ability that's much longer. But it's being abused right now for sure. It's definitely overtuned. It needs to down a bit.
All right, gang, that's going to do it for us. Remember, I said no lore or lies today, but we did want to give you the answer. So the first statement last week contained the lie. The Kyrian use soul mirrors, not dark crystals. While some may have wings, they are not Skeksis. Get it? Dark crystals. Skeksis.
See what you did there.
I saw what you did, Missy. I see what you did.
It's about time.
And what'd you think about Missy? What'd you think about Missy's lore thoughts, by the way? Let us know in the comments below. Do you have your own thoughts about it? And we've got BlizzCon coming up Friday and Saturday. They're already gathering questions for the QA panels. So we want to know, what do you want to know from Blizzard? Put it in the comments below. What would you ask them? What do you want to see from BlizzCon? And we'll talk about it next week when we're doing an exciting wrap-up of what I'm sure will be a tremendous BlizzCon. Until next week, Indy, where can everybody find you?
You guys can always find me on Twitch at IndieGorona because I stream pretty much almost every day. And same name on all the social medias. Come stalk me. Love to have you.
Sweetness. Zista.
Find me down there somewhere at It's Zista. ITSXIZTA.
Like, find me down there somewhere, pointing
Down
at his
there
crotch.
Yeah, down there.
You can find me down there somewhere. I don't know where.
Whoa, hey.
I'm there somewhere.
And on Twitch at just XIZTA.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at MagicMan1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO. And you'll always know when our shows and streamers go live. Come check them out. Oh, son of a bitch. Hold on.
Almost forgot. How could
check out our streamers.
Check out our streamers like this guy, Jason Winter.
The forgotten Jason Winter, yes, as usual.
Jason, what are you streaming right after the show here? Chat, hang tight.
I'm doing more Wasteland because in the last episode I killed Santa, so I took a suit.
You got new suits.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the gorilla suit too, which maybe someone will get to.
But
more
I think I'm
importantly, the
dead
Santa
now,
suit.
aren't I?
No, we keep bringing you back.
Keep bringing
You'll
me
never,
back. I
you're
did
never
kill
allowed to
Faye.
die.
I did kill Faye.
Yeah, you did kill Faye, and we brought her back, and she's wearing the Santa suit now, and she has a laser eye that she can blow people up with. So, very cool.
Gonna be streaming right after the show here, after post show. So hang on for a few minutes, chat, as the channel goes dark, and then comes back up with Jason Winter. Now we'll go to the outro slide. You can still follow me there. You can still follow at RC Radio. Just follow it all. That way you don't have to rely on me to tell you what's coming next, because I'll probably screw it up. I'll probably screw it up. Until then, gang, stay safe. See you on the servers.